Vernon, could you read that again so it's on the recording?
I'll pull it back up. Luke 10:28 through 38 through 42. As Jesus and his disciples were on their way, he came to a village where a woman named Martha opened her home to him. She had a sister called Mary, who sat at the Lord's feet listening to what he said. But Martha was distracted by all the preparations that had to be made. She came to him and asked, "Lord, don't you care that my sister has left me to do the work by myself? Tell her to help me." "Martha, Martha," the Lord answered, "you are worried and upset about many things. But few things are needed, or indeed only one. Mary has chosen what is better, and it will not be taken away from her."
Thank you. So, Mary chose what is better. What would we think that choice was? Pretty obviously, it was to spend time with Jesus. Mary was a good hostess. She was preparing for the Lord to have a good experience at her home. I kind of resonate with that, especially as I've gotten older. When we have someone over, I like to do the cooking. And often by the time everything's done, table set, house is cleaned up enough, and food is prepared, I'm too tired to eat it. When I go out to eat with somebody for lunch or dinner or whatever, I usually offer to pick up the tab, and I usually, especially for lunch, ask them where they would like to go. As Dale Bankston years ago, when I was his choral assistant, taught me a very important lesson. He said, when you're going to lunch with somebody, it's not usually the food that's important. It's the conversation. So if you insist on what you want to eat, if it's not what they want to eat, they're uncomfortable. If they think you're somebody that never picks up the tab, well, that doesn't help you get your mission accomplished. So let them choose and try your best to pay for it. Good advice, because it's focusing on what is important. What's important at that time is the conversation. Mary got that. Jesus was coming to their home. And Martha was concerned about how everything was. Is it neat enough? Is it all the food prepared? We got all the special things. She probably got out the family silver or whatever they have and polished it. And Mary, on the other hand, she just wanted to be with Jesus. Jesus said to Martha, "Martha, Martha, you are worried about many things. Only one is needed. Mary has chosen the better part, and it will not be taken from her. If we choose to focus on Jesus, no one can take that from us because he will not permit it. Now let's turn our attention to what we do around Christmas time. We put up trees, put up lights, we buy presents, we cook food, we go to church, we have all kinds of Christmas music going on and different family traditions and other things. In Indianapolis, they have the big ceremony where they light the huge Christmas tree that's on the Monument Circle in downtown Indianapolis. It's not really a tree. There's a tall sailor and soldier monument there, and they run lights down from it to make a silhouette of a tree. They have all kinds of hoopla around it. Years ago, the Church of God, the women of the Church of God, those far-seeing people to whom we owe a great debt. The women of the Church of God started the Christ birthday observance. The idea behind that was that whatever the largest present we gave to anybody, we give one of equal or greater value to Christ. Sometimes Christ gets lost, Jesus gets lost in the whole hoopla that goes around Christmas. It's not Santa that got run over by a reindeer. It's Jesus that got run over by the reindeer. We don't give him much thought. We say we're celebrating Jesus' birth, but we don't give him too much thought. That's just one part of life that can happen. It's important to focus on Jesus every day. Not just Christmas, but every day. Not just Easter, but every day. Not just Sunday, but every day. In recent times, I've changed my prayer pattern. I read a psalm in order. I start with Psalm 1 one day, and then I Psalm 2 the next day, and 3 the next, until I get to 119. I take 5 days on 119. It's the longest chapter in the Bible. Anyway, then when I get to 150, I start over. But I read a chapter of Psalms, and then I shut up. I try to sit for a half an hour just listening to what God may have to say to me. It helps me focus. I want to not. So often our prayers are a laundry list of, a to-do list for God. God said, you may not know what you need to be doing. Here's my list for you today. Do this, 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 and this, and this is the order need to be done. I try to let God tell me what his list for me is. It's been a very interesting experiment, and I like it. But the other stuff doesn't need to be done either. It doesn't mean we don't need to lift our requests to God. But I want to put Jesus in the very center of my life. I want to make my decisions based on what my understanding of him is. Now, that means that I need to have a pretty good understanding of Jesus. When I was in junior high, I first read the book. Oh, gee, what's the name of it? In His Steps, I think it was, where the businessmen in Topeka, Kansas got together and they made a pledge that they would make every decision based on what they understood Jesus would have done. That's how we get the bracelets. What would Jesus do? WWJD. The problem is, my answer to that question, what would Jesus do, is dependent on my understanding of who Jesus is. We get that by studying the Gospels more than anything else. Hearing the Testament and praying and getting in touch with Jesus. My understanding of who Jesus is has changed over the, started to say over the century, over the decades that I've tried to follow him. I hope it's getting better and not getting worse, but who Jesus is, what Jesus what Jesus wanted people to do is lost very often in today's world. Jesus does not want us fighting one another. Quite the contrary. He wants us to live at peace with, as far as it lies within you, be at peace with all persons. Do not avenge yourselves. If your enemy is hungry, give him something to eat. If he's thirsty, give him something to drink. If he strikes you on one cheek, offer him the left. If he compels you to go with him 1 mile, go with him 2. If he asks for your coat, give him your shirt too. Not an easy way to live, but a productive one. Jesus is trying to teach us that we don't have to respond to evil with evil. We can respond to evil with good. And he gives us the power to do that. Jesus confronted evil by absorbing it. That's what we get the whole idea of turning the other cheek. If you strike me on the cheek and I slap you back, you'll probably hit me with your fist next, and then I'll hit you with the fist. Pretty soon, one of us picks up a stick. Somebody picks up a gun pretty soon. We're in a nuclear war. As it escalates, Jesus gives us an alternative to that escalation. It is a way of living that few see. Few people really walk by that way, but it's worth it. It changes things. We know that we hear the slogan, prayer changes things. The first thing prayer does is change me. Then maybe it changes some other things too. But if I'm not changed, it doesn't matter about the rest. God is walking with us. The Spirit is with us. Jesus wants us to love him and to love one another. He prayed that we would all be one, And then he went and died so he could. He told us to love one another. He went out and died so we could. He told us the kingdom of God is with us. And went out and died to bring it into existence. That's what I want to do this Christmas. The rest of this year, next year, and whatever years I have left. I want to put Jesus at the center. And I hope you all do too.